Alright, so apparently I dropped my phone and I get to start this whole rant over. So, here's the thing, people. The heartbeat bill, as with any abortion bill, brings up a lot of very conflicting views and a lot of anger and arguments. I'm sorry for the poor light. I'm in my truck, and we all know my truck doesn't give very good light. I'm going to cover a couple different terms I'm going to use here, maybe a little differently than other people did. And I'm going to say a few points that are hopefully going to upset both sides, because I truly am going to play devil's advocate here for both sides, and kind of slam on a few key details that I don't think a lot of people think about. Alright, in my view, everybody says that there's pro-choice and pro-life. I think there's actually a third choice, so let me explain what I mean and the difference here. If you are pro-choice, that is very obvious to understand. You support an individual's right to have an abortion. Or, wait, let me rephrase that, from an individual to a woman's right to have an abortion. Because I'm going to touch on the difference there, too, and the hypocrisy of this ruling. You have pro-life people. If you are pro-life, don't support the death penalty. Don't have any support for Kevorkian laws. Don't support the killing of anybody else by a secondary party, because then you're not pro-life. You're simply anti-abortion. Okay? Don't pick which lives to protect and which lives matter. If you're pro-life, you're pro-life. Stick to it. Across the board. Stand your ground. I actually have probably the most respect for those individuals of this case. And then you have people that are actually anti-abortion, meaning they are not pro-life, they are against abortion. The difference being is you can be anti-abortion and pro-death penalty. You think some people deserve to die. Rapists, murderers, maybe drug dealers. I don't know who you support dying. Maybe your ex, for all I know. But seriously, if you're pro-abortion, you can support the killing of people, just not the unborn. So that's my take on those three. Alright, I'm going to address a few issues here in this video on the Roe v. Wade case and the arguments I hear on both sides. Alright, one of my favorite ones, and I hear this a lot as a male. Ironically, I was born with a penis, that makes me a male. I'm not allowed to have an opinion on abortion because I don't know what it's like to be pregnant. Are you stupid? Do you live in America? Have you ever read the Constitution? I have the guaranteed God-given natural right to say whatever the hell I want. And you can't stop me. Yeah, that sucks. But if that is your argument that males cannot have an opinion on abortion because we don't understand pregnancy, then do not support Roe v. Wade. Wait, huh? That doesn't make sense, Nick. You can't say that. Yeah, I can, because you're a liar and you're a hypocrite. You tell me men don't have a say on abortion, but you cite a Supreme Court ruling that was decided not by one man, not by two men, by 9 white male Supreme Court justices. I believe, don't quote me on this, and I'm sure somebody will tell me how I'm a liar and I'm wrong. 2 male attorneys. The father of the unborn baby and the mother. 9, 10, 11, 12. 10 and 2, 12 men and 1 woman. So yes, men actually do have a reason to have a say in this, because you were okay when men ruled in your favor. You don't get to pick that. You're either a hypocrite or a liar. If you think men shouldn't have a say in this, call your congressional aides, call your representatives, local, state, federal, and call the Supreme Court and demand that Roe v. Wade be abolished immediately, because they didn't have the right, because they're men, to make that ruling. Oh wait, that's right. That would overturn your guys' only argument in abortion. Now, if you actually believe in the Constitution, you read the Constitution, you study the Constitution, I also encourage that you contact your local, state, and federal representatives and the Supreme Court and demand that Roe v. Wade be immediately abolished. Not because of my standpoint on abortion, but because the Supreme Court did not have the legal authority to make the ruling they did. I am not aware of any constitutional amendment at the state or federal level. Yes, people, Ohio actually has a state constitution. It was a requirement to become a state, where the government has absolutely any say over reproductive rights at all. None. Think I'm wrong? Check different state laws on how close you can be related to somebody to get married and have a baby. Some of those are sickeningly close. But there's a reason those laws vary state by state, because the federal government doesn't have that right or authority per the Constitution of the United States of America to dictate that. So the federal Supreme Court had no authority over reproductive rights, for or against. Think I'm wrong? Check your Constitution. I would love somebody to show me the provision where the Supreme Court had absolutely any say in reproduction. So, how did they make the ruling? Well, because a bunch of morons, and yes, I'm going to call them all morons, ran to the Supreme Court and demanded of the federal government to make a decision. At that point, they gave up their right to have a say over their own reproductive rights, male and female. You see, because they gave that power to the Supreme Court and to the federal government. That's right. Rowe and Wade both gave the rights of American people to the federal government to dictate reproductive rights. Didn't catch that one in that case, did you? Yeah, morons. The Supreme Court cannot give nor take away rights. You will hear people refer to our constitutional rights as our natural rights, as our constitutionally protected rights, not given, but protected, our God-given rights, many phrases. The one thing you won't find in the Constitution, and you won't find anybody that's ever actually read and bothered to study it, that they were government-granted rights. Because what the government gives you, the government can take away. So don't get confused. The Supreme Court did not give you the constitutional right to have an abortion. What they gave you was permission. Very big difference. You parents out there, you might actually understand this analogy. Your kid comes up to you on Monday, they ask permission to go out with their friends on Friday. Maybe you go spend the night, go to the mall, watch a movie. I don't know. Whatever you give your kids permission to do. Then come Wednesday, little Susie and Johnny go to school and decide to get in a big old fight, start a massive brawl, get expelled, and blah, blah, blah. Can you take their permission back to go out on Friday? Absolutely you can. That is the difference, people, in between a constitutional right and getting permission. You see, the recent bills, laws in many states, including Ohio's heartbeat bill, is proof of that. You see, the government gave you permission to have an abortion. And now the government is retracting, rescinding, and limiting that permission. With the going out on Friday analogy. Yes, you can go out on Friday, little Susie, as long as you do your chores all week, do your homework, and, I don't know, clean out the car. If Susie doesn't do those, she doesn't get to go, right? That's what Roe v. Wade actually did. Roe v. Wade gave you permission to have an abortion from the government. They stripped your personal choice. Deal with it. You gave the government say over it, and now you're going to deal with that. Roe v. Wade should have never been a federal level issue, because it's a state level issue, and the Constitution actually says that. There's that pesky Constitution thing getting in the way again. God, them damn founding fathers, and limiting the federal government's right and telling people what their rights are. The federal government is bound to the Constitution. So are we. And in one of those funny little clauses the founders put in, because they understood that things change over time, said that any power not specifically given to the federal government is left to the people and to the state. Well, Nick, what do you mean? How does that apply here? Simple. You see, the federal government didn't have say over reproductive rights. They didn't have say over abortion. They didn't have say over any of that. So therefore, that right was given to the people and to the individual sovereign states. That is what the Constitution says. So if you're going to argue that you got a constitutional right, at least understand that the Constitution actually says you still don't. Fun little fact there. I know that's going to piss a few people off. So Roe v. Wade gave you permission from the federal government to have an abortion. Not a right, because rights are not given by the government. Rights are God-given, natural law. The right to self-defense, the right to speak your mind, the right to be secure in your persons, the rights to defend yourself, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or legally. These are the things the Founding Fathers pointed out. And these are natural law. If you think I'm joking, go watch the Discovery Channel. Okay? Watch animals. They understand natural rights because it's just natural. That's what they do. Alright? Now, this brings us into the most important detail of this. Do not be mad that the government gave you something and are now wishing to restrict it. Because when you give the government any authority over anything, they are, and the founders told us this, it has been amplified throughout history, that the government as an entity is corrupt. That's why the founders limited our government so far. Because they knew if given power, they would corrupt it. Give them an inch, they take a mile. Those that support abortion were great for Roe v. Wade because they got what they want. Now the same government they gave authority over their reproductive rights are now trying to restrict, rescind, or retract those rights. They're not rights, by the way. They're not. If they were rights, they'd be listed in any of the many constitutions of this nation. And they're not. And by the way, every state has a constitution, so yes, there's many. Alright, it's not a right. A privilege, maybe? Sure. It's not a right. You gave the government the authority over your reproductive rights. Don't be mad that now that same entity of government is wishing to flex their muscles on that power you gave them. You gave them power over you. That's not my fault. That's nobody else's fault. That's all the morons that support it giving them that power. Every power we give the government, they will use to their fullest extent. And every time that the government changes hands, whether at a local, state, or federal level, through the House, through the Senate, through the President, through the Supreme Court justice appointees, so on and so forth, that power is subject to be used in a different way than what you originally wanted. Don't give the government power over anything. Because understand that the next government coming in will change how they use that power. In years past, we have had a Democratic-controlled government. Now, we have a Republican-controlled government. Guess what? You gave the government as a whole authority. Now deal with it. But moving on to the next point. Alright, now we're going to cover natural law. Is abortion a natural right? Well, I've heard arguments on both sides of this. And this is where I get to play devil's advocate. And God, I love this. I learn from the best. I have challenged every topic and I can argue either side of any case. I have literally argued against St. Jude's Cancer Research Hospital. Yes, I'm that good at what I do. Is abortion natural? Not in the medical procedure sense of what we have nowadays. But should an individual have the natural say over their body? Absolutely. I should be able to get tattoos, piercings, smash my pecker with a hammer if I want to. It's my body. I get that right. Unless, you want the right to not vaccinate your children, if you want the right to die with dignity under the Kevorkian laws, death with honor laws, etc. Sorry, my light cut out there. That happens sometimes. So please understand that we don't have the right over our own bodies in many cases. Okay? You don't even have the right to commit suicide. You don't have the right to fail to commit suicide. You don't have the right to die with dignity in most states in this union. So don't tell me that it's personal choice. Because personal choice doesn't apply in many, many cases. You want to find out? Start using drugs. Bet you go to jail. Fail to commit suicide in Ohio. You're going to actually be committed by legal force. They will issue a warrant. ask a doctor to give you assisted suicide. So it's not all pro-choice. We don't have a lot of choices over our personal bodies. That's just fact of the nature, people. Back to this natural law. A medical procedure is not natural. It's not. If it was natural, nature would do it. Okay? Passing a kidney stone is a natural process. Fighting off a common cold is a natural process. Having a doctor perform a procedure, either through cutting, suction, scraping, etc., isn't natural. I've never seen two monkeys go out and do a medical procedure on each other. So, let's argue against the natural right selection. It's not. Animals don't do it. You don't see this in nature, so it's not natural. Alright? If it was natural, your body would do it on its own. If it was natural, an untrained monkey could do it. Your dog could do it. That's law of nature. Alright? But there is a sense of natural abortion. If you've ever had puppies, if you've ever seen a dog have puppies, monkeys do it, giraffes do it, elephants do it, all kinds of animals do it. If they can't support the entire birthing process, especially in animals that give multiple births, they will actually push one of their young away. I've seen dogs do this, where mom could only maybe support safely 6 puppies and had 8. She will literally push away, starve, and kill the other 2 puppies. That's a form of abortion, actually. It's a very morbid form of it, but it is a form of it, because they are killing off their young, correct? And those young are still absolutely fully dependent on the mom, similar to the argument that people having an abortion make, that the baby is fully dependent on the mom and not capable of sustaining life on its own. So why don't we do that for abortion? How many people would support abortion if you had to let that baby be born and then die off naturally? I really hope no one. Because if so, you're sadistic and you really need the shit knocked out of you. But that's natural abortion, people. That is what happens when a mom in nature can't take care of her young. She lets it die off. Do you support that? Huh? I'm guessing no. Hopefully everybody would call that murder. If not, seriously, get the hell off my page and don't ever come around me, because you're a sick freak. So, to the people that say it's God's law, it's nature, that's God's law for you. If you can't sustain it, let it die. And that goes against both sides. So don't talk about this merciful God, because animals die all the time in nature. I'm not for that, by the way. I am completely against that. Somebody's going to call me on it. So for all you Christians that want to support God's law, then support mom throwing the baby in the dumpster. Support mom flushing it down the toilet. Support the moms that starve their kids to death and leave them outside. Because that's nature, that's law. Now, the other argument I love. What about the rape victims, Nick? What about the incest? What about this? On average, and yes, this is not a conclusive 100% statistic, but I don't believe in 100% statistics anyways. At maximum of reported instances, abortion for rape, incest, and medical emergency, the big 3 that everybody throws up, accounts for a maximum of 3% of all abortions. That means 97% of them do not fall in those 3 categories. So what category do they fall in? They fall in irresponsibility and refusal to accept responsibility for their personal choice and actions. I have my views, and I've been asked this many times on what are my exact views on abortion. I will not cover it up. I do not support abortion, because I believe people should be held responsible for their actions. Well, some pregnancies are accidents. Well, so's legally speaking, all negligent homicide cases. So if I accidentally kill somebody, I should be able to walk. I mean, what if I accidentally crash my car through your house and kill somebody? You're going to go, oh, he shouldn't be responsible for that? Absolutely not. You're going to want me in court. You're going to want my day of justice, and you're going to want me to go to prison or be killed. So if accidents happen, we need to forgive all accidents, so every criminal that goes in front of court can just say it was an accident, they didn't mean to beat that guy to death, and be good, right? Nah, I don't think most people would support that. At least I hope not. Because that'd be a horrible justice system. But that's exactly what irresponsible pregnancies and accidental pregnancies are. Is they're a choice. And choices have consequences. And you have to live with those. Nick, you don't understand. Neither of my natural born children were planned. Actually, Maddie beat not 1, not 2, but 3 forms of birth control. Thank God of my choice. Thank God. One of the few great things I will actually say about my ex is she was anti-abortion. She chose to have both of our children, despite the fact that both of them were unplanned. Now I know the other one. What about a one-night stand? Quit being a whore, close your legs. Oh, Ben was a one-night stand. God, I hope he doesn't find this video later. Ben was a one-night stand. Me and Katie barely knew each other. We didn't want to have kids. We were not in a relationship. We knew each other from high school. We knew each other's names. I was fresh out of basic training, 13 weeks of not getting none. Son, I was going to put it in everything that laid still. Or at least everything I could chase down that gave me consent to. Yes, I actually have to point out that it was consensual nowadays because the whole Donald Trump grabbed her by the pussy. Folks, our actions have consequences, good and bad. A choice I make most days, and I've made for the last 7 days, is to go to work. The consequence of that choice is I'm tired, I'm sore, I've got a headache, and I'm grumpy. But I also know now one of those consequences is I'll have a paycheck, which will pay for my lights, my truck, my gas, blah, blah, blah. You know, good and bad consequences. If you have sex, pay attention to this, people. Most of you don't seem to understand this. If you have sex, even with birth control, there is a chance you will become pregnant. If you do not want that chance, don't have sex. Women, don't have sex if you don't want to risk carrying a baby for 9.5 months and giving birth and have the fun of every time you sneeze peeing a little bit. Men, do not have sex if you don't want a baby. If you are not willing to risk paying child support for the next 18 years, if you're not willing to risk being with this individual, at least in the sense of supporting your children for the next 18 years and realistically life, don't have sex. You can't tell me not to have sex. You're right. I'm not telling you not to have sex. I'm telling you choose not to. Because one of the consequences of that is having a baby. Folks, this is basic health class. This is basic sex ed. Sex equals babies. If you're a Christian, this stat is wrong, and you believe in immaculate conception of Jesus' mother Mary. But if you're not religious, there is not a baby born. There is nobody on this planet who was not made from some form of sex. Even artificial insemination involves semen meeting an egg. Sex creates that. Jacking off in a cup with a turkey baster or sticking your pick on a hoo-ha could lead to a baby. Folks, if you don't want the chance of it, don't do it. If you don't want the chance of drinking and driving and killing somebody, ending somebody's life, don't drink and drive. You can drink or drive. If you're driving, choose not to drink. Same exact concept with abortion, okay? Yes, if a woman is raped, I absolutely support her choice. Though I don't like it, I understand, and I also understand the medical complications and the psychological harm of carrying that baby. So I will support that woman's right to still have a choice because she was denied that choice to have sex. She wasn't given a choice to have sex. She should be given a choice to have the baby. I still don't like abortion. I will not ever knock a rape victim. And quite honestly, if I see you knock a rape victim, I'm subject to try to knock your teeth out. Alright? I don't tolerate that shit at all. I've known rape victims. I don't tolerate anybody who will bash a rape victim on any level. Alright? Don't blame her. Don't say it was her choice. Don't knock her for having an abortion. I may not morally agree with it, but I will protect her right to do so. The second you choose to have sex, you made your choice. Deal with it. Alright. One of my biggest issues on abortion, past what I've listed so far, is people say it is a right. Name one other right in this nation that is specifically and proven to only apply to one demographic. Is the right to free speech only protected in whites? Is the right to keep and bear arms only protected if you're black? Is the right to have a fair trial only protected if you're a man? Is the right to be safe and secure in your property and to prevent illegal search and seizure only apply if you're a woman? No other right discriminates against half of the country. None. Rights are equal and fair. Everybody has a right to bear arms. Everybody has a right to free speech. Everybody has the right to free religion. Everybody is safe and secure in their persons from illegal search and seizure and to have a fair trial. So if abortion is a right, then you need to find a way to give everybody that right, including men, either through a paternal abortion or right of consent or right of refusal. Alright? Paternal abortion, by the way, would be a father signing away any legal binding rights, responsibilities, fees, etc. of the child and guaranteeing that never attempt contact with the child is the basis of that, and I can go on that more if you want me to. So abortion is not a right. It doesn't protect all Americans. Actually, it damns half of Americans. It literally tells men you have no right to protect your offspring. That is what abortion says. That is not a goddamn right. That is bullshit. That is sexism. And that is legal oppression. So don't tell me it's a right. Because if it was a right, I would have some say. And I don't. Folks, I'm never going to change my standpoint. I've had my standpoint on this for roughly about 15 years. Yeah, maybe 17. Alright, I've had this standpoint since I was a kid. My wife, God love her, and Lord knows I do, she's a sweet woman, has a very different view on this than I do. Some of my friends have a different view on this than I do. My own blood family has a different view on this than I do. And that's fine, because you know what? This is America, and we're allowed to have a different view. I'll make you a deal. If you're on the other side, you want to actually have a mature conversation and debate about this, let's have it. I will sit down and talk to you. Few things I'm going to warn you. Don't tell me it's a damn right, because I've already explained how it's not. And the first thing I'm going to do is tell you to read the Constitution and find that right. If you need a copy of it, I got a few pocket constitutions in the house, I'll give you one. If you tell me men don't have a say on it, then I am literally going to go off on one of the most sexist rants you'll ever see. Because if a woman has a right, then a man has a right. And I have a right to say what I want. The First Amendment says the right to free speech. You can't stop me from saying anything. Alright, I have the right to have a thought, an opinion, feelings, and emotions on something. You have no right to infringe on that right. And I won't let you. Not now, not ever. Those of you that know me know I'm hardline and will stand my ground as best I can on any topic I can. And if proven wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. Again, I've had this particular view on abortion for about half my life. I haven't been proven wrong yet. I can argue it scientifically, legally, constitutionally, and religiously. Alright, so, again, people. Now, here's where I'm going to pick one other thing to play devil's advocate for both sides. It is a woman's right to choose her body. Absolutely. You have a right to do whatever the hell you want with your body. That baby growing in you, that youngin', that ain't your body. That's a separate body. Not your body to make a choice of. All you diehard Christians out there screaming it's against God and it's against my holy book. Couple topics. One, keep your goddamn religion out of my laws. Freedom of religion says you can't pass a law based on your religion. Plain and simple. Because that infringes on my right to not practice your religion. Secondly, read the Bible. Because it also says things like gluttony, lust. If you get a divorce, she's got to be stoned. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, if she's raped, she's got to be stoned because she's no longer a virgin. Well, unless her rapist wants to pay her daddy for her virginity and pretty much buy her. So, until you're going to start enforcing those parts of the Bible, please don't force your religious views on anybody. even if I'm on the same side of abortion as you are, I will still call you out for it, alright? Because none of y'all follow the Bible, especially if you're hearing this, because that means you're on some personal property, and I don't recall Jesus or the disciples having homes and technology and gadgets. Actually, Jesus told many of the disciples, cast away your belongings, get rid of your belongings, and follow me and become a fisher of men. Somebody can quote this, I'm sure, that Jesus told two of the apostles that were fishermen, cast away your nets and leave your boat and become fishers of men. He told them to get rid of their personal property, their livelihood, their jobs, and follow him. So if you're watching this, you ain't cast away your personal possessions. So until you're going to actually be an apostle, until you're going to be a disciple of Christ, running around doing humanitarian aid, feeding the hungry, giving up your worldly possessions, etc., don't mix your religion, don't mix half your religion with my laws. Because your religion and pushing it on me violates my rights as a human, violates my rights as a man, and damn sure violates my rights as an American and as an Ohioan. So don't try it with me. If anybody would like to debate this topic with me, please, by all means do. You stay calm, polite, respectful. I'll stay calm, polite, and respectful. You come in with your name calling and your sexist and your prejudiced and your blah, blah, blah crap. Get ready, because I'm going to send you a shitstorm. Y'all know I'm hot headed, and I'll give it to you. Those of you that have known me for years know I'm quick to cut somebody down. I honestly don't want to lose any more friends over this. Alright? I've had a few people, some of them have known me since I was 13, 14 years old, who have quit talking to me over this topic. And the funny thing is I had the same view and everybody knew it back then too. Now, 15 years later, I put on there, haha, you gave the government permission to dictate your body, so deal with it. Now they're pissed off at me. You know what? Seriously, fuck you. If you're going to let a political topic dictate if we're friends, you weren't no friend. You were fake. Oh, another big thing. I really don't want no more death threats. Nobody going to show up to my house and whoop my ass. Because we all know you're not going to. You're keyboard tough. If you're really going to show up to whoop my ass, by all means, bring it on. You may whoop my ass. We're both going to the hospital if you do. Bring backup, because I promise you're in for the fight of your life. I can't whoop the whole world. Sorry, I've got a car stopping right in front of my house and it's freaking me out. I can't whoop the whole world, but the whole world can't whoop me either. And I ain't going down without a fight. A few of y'all have seen me in brawls. I may not be 18 no more, but I still pack a hell of a right hook. So if you come here with intentions of stomping me, you might want to pack a lunch, because